Welcome to another episode of the Palace Huddle Podcast. Here are your hosts, Rob Schwartz and Justin Onayemi, two Bears fans who decided talking into a microphone was better than shouting at their television.
What's up, Palace Huddlers?
Huddle up!
It's so much easier when it's in person. And granted, Bob and I did a good job last week, but it's so much easier when it's in person.
Great effort. Episode 99.
Episode 99. I said it was the Jervon Dexter episode, and you were like, well, maybe there's a Hall of Famer we should be mentioning.
I know. Well, I was talking to my dad. He actually does not like that particular Hall of Famer. And I was saying if the Bears had pulled off the victory, I would have called this the Denny Green episode.
Okay.
Because
they are who we
thought they were. It had that kind of vibe to it. We'll get into it when we talk about the game.
Right.
But I suppose it has to be Dan Hampton.
Yeah, Dan Hampton.
If Dexter would have made – I thought he blocked that field goal. Turns out it was just a weird, bad kick. But he took credit. He was like,
right.
Give that. Yeah.
It was low enough that he could have blocked it.
It was like almost hit him in the face.
Yeah. So 18-15 loss. 15 unanswered points for the Chicago Bears. Let's look at the positive there, right? Other than that, I got fucking nothing. It's going to be an explicit episode, guys. I had a plan for tonight. Here's the thing. When you have a plan, right, you have an outline, and the plan's not working, do you just stick with the plan for 3 fucking quarters? Or do you say, guess what? It's not working. Let's change it up a little bit. It took them forever to do anything differently.
Here's the problem. You've been playing lesser teams that you should beat, and you've been looking good against them. Not throughout the game, by the way. Like the Bears come out flat all the time. Every game they come out flat.
10 points in the first quarter.
They come out flat, which there's no excuse. This is off of your bye week. Yes. You're finally playing a team that's like, you got to make a statement. There's so many storylines that we could talk about, but this is a high quality team. You're coming off your bye, and this is what you put out there.
And here's the worst part, though. Yeah. They're a high-quality offense. They haven't been a high-quality defense.
They have not.
Outside of the Panthers game, they've looked like shit.
They have not.
They have 3 interceptions, and 2 of those came in the Panthers game.
This should have been an opportunity to get your passing game going.
Yes.
This should have been an opportunity to find all the weapons you have and get them going. And you look disorganized. You looked undisciplined. You didn't really, by any metric you want to look at, you were dominated this game.
The only
dominated. Time of possession, plays run, yardage, turnover battle, penalties, every third down conversions. Take anything that you're supposed to do to win a game, and the Bears were dominated thoroughly. And yet, you should have won the game.
Yeah, I don't want to hear, and I did it too. In our text group, I was like, they didn't deserve to win this game. No, fuck you. Yes, they did. You know why? Because the whole game has to be played. And guess what? They should have. 20 seconds were left. It's not like it was 5 minutes left in the game and they came back and lost. 20 seconds.
And they had 1 timeout. They were mismanaging timeouts throughout the second half. And I was saying this could actually come back to hurt them. Like, you have no business. Okay, so here's the thing. If you can't be organized off of a bye week, that's your coaching staff.
Oh, 100%.
And then Matt Eberflus is a phenomenal defensive play caller. It's like back in if you had Vic Fangio, you knew you were all set on defense type of level.
Yeah.
But as a coach, it is a consistent Matt Eberflus thing for them to be disorganized and not be able to finish games. The Hail Mary we'll talk about in depth was disgusting. Yep. But the play right before that, you let them get like 12 to 13 yards. I'll have to look at the exact amount on an out. In the first half, when it was a similar situation,
it was definitely 12 to 13.
They played the complete sideline and you play deep. There's no way you're throwing it out. Your options are, and at this point, they were still, 70 yards from the end zone?
Yeah.
Maybe 68 or something. He wasn't going to throw it the whole way if you made him throw from there. So now you throw in front of us. Good luck running through eight guys to the end zone.
Yeah.
How does Matt Eberflus not have the team ready for that?
And you have 3 timeouts.
True.
Use one.
Be organized. It was a disaster. But again, they shouldn't have even won in the first place. The defense played phenomenal to even put you in a position, and then the defense is what lets you down. And how does that happen?
And actually, I'm stupid. You didn't even have to use one on that play because The Commanders took a timeout before that play. So why aren't you there talking to your players and being like, look, he's not going to throw the ball 75 plus yards. Do some like actual coverage. They're all the way back at the like 10.
I never went back. I do not want to go back, but I may at some point. But the play before the Hail Mary, which I think was very bad defense.
Romo called it.
And I said that was very bad defense tactically by Matt Eberflus.
Yes.
But then he's almost like getting into it with Jalen Johnson at the moment.
Who was at fault there? I have no idea.
So maybe not. Maybe someone's at fault that wasn't Eberflus.
Could be.
But that's on you still.
Yes.
You're the play caller. You're the head coach. And this is a pattern for him. Bob, in our thread, we were trying to decide if it's been 3 or if it's been 4 games that you just had the game won and you've lost it. I think Cleveland might have been the other one that I'm thinking of. But this is a pattern. And you can't win on the road. I mean, first 3-game winning streak was the one they just got shattered. Yeah. This should have been 4.
Yeah.
This should be 5 because you could have won the Colts game.
Yeah.
You have to finish. So I don't know if you're a big boy team. After all that, we said you got to win 2 of your next 3. But it would have felt great to win the first one against the best on paper roster you're going to face in the next 3 weeks. And then it's your division. It's San Francisco. It's Seattle. Talk about big boy football. The NFC North keeps kicking butt and taking names.
Yeah.
And you did this.
Yeah.
In the big game of the week, flex so everyone could watch you.
I mean, we've talked about it all off season. All throughout the season, Matt Eberflus is the worst quarterback in the NFC, or worst head coach in the NFC North, right?
I don't know how he'd be a quarterback.
Yeah, no. I don't think he'd be very good either, right? Like, I'm guaranteed he'd be the worst quarterback in the NFC North.
True. Should they have an offensive coach? That could be something we talk about a little bit in the episode.
But, like, he is the worst head coach in the NFC North. We've been talking about it this whole time. My issue now is we are seeing for sure, like, we were trying to give him a little bit of a benefit of a doubt, just like we were with Justin Fields. First season, they didn't have a lot of talent, right? The talent got a little bit better the next year. They won 7 games, right? They're still winning, technically, right? They're 4-3, but they're only ever beating, and I know we talked about it. It's not about who you play, it's about how you play. And they were playing dominant football against those bad teams. But do you trust that he's going to outcoach Matt LaFleur? Do you trust that he's going to outcoach, and I'm not going to give it to Dan Campbell, but Ben Johnson? Like, do you trust that he's going to outcoach Kevin O'Connell? Because I don't.
And it's not, and I know I was making a joke out of it when they played the Rams. It's not that he outcoached McVay. Yes. You saw what the Rams did when they had Cooper Kupp and Nakua against Minnesota.
That was a talent issue.
Right.
They had no one.
You know, meeting people at the right time, that type of thing. But let me just say something that I know. I just kind of want to actually. I know I'm supposed to be ice and cool you down, but I know how much is it going to piss you off. This will light you on fire. This will light you on fire. So they should have perhaps thought when you're bringing in the number 1 pick, Caleb Williams on offense. One thought, regardless of the fact that Matt Eberflus seems to have a good, locker room or whatever. I'm curious how that will look after this today. By the way, but. Do you bring in an offensive-minded coach to coach your number 1 pick who's a quarterback? They did not go that route. I'm on record as saying, Matt Eberflus could still be the guy. But should they let him go, the thought also has crossed our minds that would Shane Waldron be a good next head coach of the Chicago Bears? Go ahead, Rob.
Fuck no. Fuck no. Explicit content right now. The answer is no. And guess what? If you think Matt Eberflus should be fired, hit the like button. If you think Shane Waldron can be the next Bears head coach,
unsubscribe.
Unsubscribe. If you think that he cannot be,
we don't want to lose.
If you think that he is awful and complete garbage, and I don't really think that, but I think he's the bottom of the barrel right now when it comes to offensive coordinators. If you think that, hit the subscribe button right now. Be entered into a free giveaway for a Chicago Bears jersey.
So we're going
to come through better than the Bears do.
Yes, we will. But in a bit, we're going to kind of do a ongoing segment, which is pivotal players, pivotal plays.
Yeah.
There's a humongous play that I think goes right on Shane Waldron that I'm definitely going to bring up.
Okay.
But what is your overall take on Waldron? Because back to the idea that this is your bye week. This was your opportunity to find, hey, how can we get Odunze involved? How do we, spread this ball around? Komet didn't make a meaningful target or touch until the last drive of the game.
Yep.
So that's you coming off the bye.
Talked about in this press conference.
I didn't listen,
I looked at the stat sheet, and it does look like we got to get our tight end involved more. Fuck you.
If you see an issue, go talk to your offensive coordinator and tell him to man up and do his fucking job.
That should have been the whole bye week.
Right.
How do you come off this
If you approve
with this bad
and
of a game
look,
plan?
Bob did this in our text chat. First of all, my phone was like dead, so I didn't get to text at all, but I was all over Twitter today. So I will talk about Waldron right there on how I was all over his case. But Bob called it out. I was like, fire Waldron into the sun right now. Just get rid of him. And the play that I referred to was the Doug Kramer, idiotic.
That's the play.
Like, why are you handing that ball off to your offensive lineman? Look,
You want to put
Bob
that many things on camera?
but Bob made that known, right? Like, he made it well aware, and I agree with him. Matt Eberflus knew what this play was. It was ran and practiced in practice. Was it practiced as much as every other play? No, but you know it was done, right?
But the flow of the game,
Don't do that.
the impact of a play. I mean,
You had 2 downs. It was 3rd and goal from the 1.
you're definitely going for it on 4th if you get stuffed. And I said that as we're watching it live.
So
it's not
now-
like it's
Now you
after
run
the
that
fact.
play. Tevin Jenkins gets hurt again. So you can't even put
you're heavy.
Kramer in the backfield anymore, right? Because now he's got to play left guard the rest of the game.
Every time.
Because Bill Murray also got hurt.
So when you have a special package like
He,
that,
wait,
heavy,
he came in like
Yeah.
it was like what's that stupid movie with Michael Jordan?
Space Jam.
Space Jam. He came in like it was Space Jam. Came in for his one play, did great, and then boom, he was out of there again.
When you have like a special package like that, where you're clearly putting in your heavy, extra extra tackle. Now you're bringing your backup center as a fullback. We've seen it, and we've seen them run great sets off of it. But of course, you're going to have multiple plays you can do. But that's not the time to get cute.
No.
The handoff was awkward live. He never had it.
When you get cute with that? When you're up by 2 scores, right? And you're going in
and
for
you just
a
want to
third.
exert your will on people.
And you
but
want
they
to
still
put
don't
things
have
on
identity.
film that you want people to be
Yes,
concerned about.
and have to game plan
You do
for
that
it.
when it's not as important of the game. At that point, there was 4 or 5 minutes left in the
Yeah.
game?
They're lucky to have gotten another opportunity.
Yes.
Because again, the defense was, for the most part, really good today.
Yes.
Now-
I got to give the defense credit. And I was getting pissed off with this bend but don't break type nonsense because it just seems to be prevent zone, like this weak zone stuff. Like Jaden Daniels was getting through his progressions. He wasn't supposed to be able to do that. Right? Like it's supposed to be a quick, high tempo offense. Get it to your first read, get it out.
Yep.
That wasn't happening enough in this game. He didn't play well either. I'm sorry. You look at his stats, they look fantastic on paper. He threw for over 300 yards. 52 of them came on a fucking Hail Mary. I'm not counting that bullshit, okay? His only touchdown came on a fucking Hail Mary. I'm not counting that bullshit. He threw for 55% completion percentage. Hey, he's throwing for 70, 85, 90% completion percentage. He's the best player in the league. He's the MVP candidate. Fuck you. No, he's not.
I was impressed / disappointed on how good he was with his legs still.
Yes.
With his coming in with an injury. There were so many times Bears players should have had him, should have had the angle. Sometimes it was linebackers. Sometimes it was corners or safeties. I mean, I can kind of get it with a linebacker, but when your corners are getting flat-footed and getting beat by this guy, you do just kind of have to tip your hat that he has that special ability.
He knows when to
extend or to
explode, right? Like
Yep.
he knows when
Change
to
a pace.
change a pace.
Yep.
He did it against TJ.
cut angles. Oh,
TJ
TJ Edwards, he made him look
It
bad.
reminded me of Urlacher when Tom
Oh,
Brady
yeah.
faked him out of his
but
shoes.
Brady shouldn't be able to do
But
that. to anyone.
my thing is, I was watching that. Is like you saw Jervon Dexter right there. Take the outside away and
Yes.
make him go to the
There were many
inside.
times they took
Dexter's
bad angles,
right there.
Bad angles. And maybe just fearing his athletic ability does kind of get in your head.
If you hit him a few times, he's not going to keep running.
I thought that too. So he did have an okay game.
He
It
did.
looks a lot better on paper at the end of that.
No, he had a good game. He did.
He did
but
have-
he's not an MVP candidate. That's just my opinion.
He missed throws, but Williams missed a whole lot of throws too.
Caleb Williams.
I don't know what was going on today.
Came out of this game.
The line again wasn't thinking. So
let's talk about that on the second half. We'll talk about that. Then we'll go to pivotal plays, pivotal players.
there's a special piece of video we want to show.
Yeah.
and
If you
share.
haven't seen it, I'm gonna share it real
So-
quick. But we'll take a quick break before we do. If you want to bet on this game, which I did, I fixed the mojo of this game. We were losing. As soon as that touchdown went with DeAndre Swift on the outside, I went on to my Caesars app. I made a bet that the Chicago Bears were going to win this game.
Well,
I was 20 seconds away.
clearly you messed up.
20 seconds away. But I gave them
Not
that mojo.
touchdown. Oh, you were 20 seconds away from hitting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I gave them that mojo of winning. They came back. And if you want to do that, if you want to be a part of that, or maybe you want to bet the opposite side because you don't believe in the Chicago Bears, go to our sign-up page at signupexpert.com/huddle. It's brought to you by BetStamp. You will find the best odds from all the sports books in your region and all the best sign-up offers. For now, though, let's go to the ad break, and we will be back shortly.
And we are back. Hallis Huddle, episode 99. Wow. And I think you and Bob are going to have a good 100th episode because time of the year, I think it'll be a nice one. So
yeah, I don't know if I'll be around. We'll see.
What? Oh, boy.
I
hope you're not on watch for tonight. But
I think I might have to find somebody to fill in for me this week.
No. You'll be okay. You'll sleep on this. It'll be fine. But what he's referring to is just a devastating loss. It kind of would have been a devastating win. No, there's no such thing as a devastating win. The Bears played very poorly today and still were in position to win a game. And then, as is becoming common in the Matt Eberflus era, they snatched
I think you said
defeat.
It right with error.
They snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, as I love to say. I get to practice so many lines when you're a Bears fan. That's not going to be good enough in the NFC North.
Yeah.
But before the break, we talked about Jaden Daniels and how his game was, but also Caleb Williams and how his day was. So,
yeah,
I got some thoughts.
So let's just
toss it your way first.
Right away first. Jaden Daniels looked way sharper, right? He looked sharper than Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams looked like he was amped up, like he needed to calm down. All his balls were sailing in the beginning of the game. Like, I don't know if it was the hype of being back in Washington, D.C., where he's from. I don't know if it was that stadium, which I've heard has become extremely loud this year. Whatever it is, it's inexcusable because, one drive, whatever, I get it. Maybe two, I can understand. But it was a full half. And he even came out flat in the second half too, right? Like to start the third quarter. It wasn't until probably the middle of the third quarter that he started to the offense started to get a groove, right? Not necessarily Caleb Williams. But if you see, once the running game picked up, it did translate into him playing better. And part of what I'm seeing is they're giving him the keys to the machine, right? The keys to everything. He is the one that goes up to the line of scrimmage. He is the one that is getting the defense to tell you, are you in zone or are you in man? He's the one that's making the play call. He's probably up there with two plays and he has a decision. Okay, if we're man, we're going to this. If it's zone, we're going to this, right? That is not what you're seeing from Jaden Daniels. Not all progression is linear. So I'm going to look at this still in a positive light. Caleb Williams didn't turn the ball over, right? I mean, the fumble, I'd have to look at the stat sheet. I would hope that it goes on Doug Kramer. It wasn't that great of a handoff, but at the same time,
it's on Caleb.
It went right into his fucking bread.
It's on Caleb, basket. But it was awkward, and that play should have never been called, in my opinion.
Agreed. Stat-wise, I don't count that against him, though, is what I'm saying.
I get it. We had that whole conversation with Justin Fields back in the day. Exactly. He hasn't been turnover prone.
No. So
through 7 games.
You're looking at him, and you're looking for progression. And my only concern still is the deep ball. He still keeps struggling with it. The one to DJ Moore, even that ball didn't look that great, but that was good. He even took a hit.
Yeah, he stood in there on that one, which I want to talk about. I mean, just last week, you got something
I'll transition to that. The difference, I think, though, the main difference, and I'm going to leave it at this, that you're seeing between why Jaden Daniels looks comfortable versus why Caleb Williams doesn't look comfortable is the same thing we've been talking about for over a decade. The offensive line is not consistently good.
So, absolutely, one of the things I definitely was going towards. Just last week, I was joking. I mean, I was being honest, and we were feeling very high after what we had been seeing.
Yeah.
I said, I don't remember what I put it at, 3.5, 4.5, 2.5. I don't remember what number, but how many times in his career will Caleb Williams play 4 quarters and throw for under 100 yards? He ended up getting past 100, but it was not looking good through 3 quarters. I think through 3 quarters, he had 34, 36 yards throwing. That's not acceptable. Yeah. But I'm going to keep saying it. I don't see this did not look like a coming off the bye week game plan.
No.
This offensive line is not good enough. Braxton Jones has had a shaky season and then goes out with injury. Amagaji, this is your third round pick. Your other third round pick from a few years ago is out the door. We haven't talked about that, but that could have been a short all in itself. But Amagaji, I know he had an injury, and so he was behind in terms of being physically ready to go. But you're saying he's your backup left tackle?
Yeah, they could
and he
brought
screwed
Larry
that
Warren.
whole drive. He screwed that whole drive that he first gets beat and they stuff a run. Then he gets beat and it's a sack. Next thing you know, you're not even getting points. Back when points were very hard to come by for the Bears today.
He does get credit for the block on the DeAndre Swift.
Yes, he got upfield and made a good block. Took out 2.5 guys that made that a beautiful run. But Tevin Jenkins, what have we always talked about with him? Availability, injuries. We're back there with him again.
Yeah.
When he goes out, it's Murray. Then when he went out, it was Kramer.
Yeah.
So Nate Davis, total waste of a signing. We know his history. But the Bears are in a better place than years past, but you still already, I mean, are we at mock draft part of the season already now? Because you can still see the holes on this roster.
Offensive line in the first round, offensive line in the second round, offensive line in the second round again.
It might have to be because, yes, Caleb sailed some throws, but constantly was under pressure.
Yeah.
Some of his plays where he avoided pressure were pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And you know he has that.
Inside the pocket,
yes,
too,
and
right?
you know he has that. Could it lead to bad plays?
Yes.
Yes, it can. And so you would love for it not to be something that he constantly has to be doing.
Yeah.
But the line is not acceptable. And I don't know. I see a statistic that Roma Dunze against man coverage gets like the third most separation in the league. How is that not leading to
His
results?
route running
How is that not leading to
been
results?
fantastic.
So I kind of put it on the whole operation. Later, we're going to talk about game balls. I'm not giving him a game ball, but as bad as Caleb Williams was, I still think to have a horrible game and lead your team to basically 2 game-winning drives.
Yeah.
Because that handoff could have been the game-winning drive if you don't, screw it up and then lead it. He can't control them now playing a bad 20 seconds and giving up a Hail Mary. No. He still showed some composure that I like.
Yeah.
But it was an ugly game by him and an ugly game by the whole offense, really.
100%.
Minus maybe one guy.
100%. But so going back to the Caleb Williams thing, you're saying what you're seeing is not. Well, first of all, what we saw isn't like what we've seen over the last just couple games. Yes, they were a different opponent. Was it our text group or maybe it was someone else who was saying that it's interesting now we saw the Commanders actually come at them. We haven't really seen that since the Houston game.
All right.
And it definitely did affect the clock of Caleb Williams. Yeah. And that's partly why he was throwing the ball inconsistently, right? He had Roma Dunze wide open over almost the middle,
and that
just
was,
past the
and
middle.
That was right after a DJ Moore miss.
And just threw it way behind him.
I haven't liked how Odunze sits in zone sometimes, but they should be in sync by now. And they're not.
The way he runs routes, I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt that it's on Caleb in that regard, right? Okay. Also, yes, he might not have had time on the play or he was getting rushed at the time. Sure, whatever. My biggest issue, what does Caleb Williams pretty much do the best? What does he do the best out of all the other rookie quarterbacks, in my opinion? Out of probably 20 other quarterbacks that are starting in the NFL. Unscripted plays outside of the pocket.
Yes. Okay.
Why are you moving the damn pocket, though? I literally watched the game, and I'm tweeting out, move the ball, move the pocket, move the pocket, move the pocket. Okay, that drive's over. Let's move the pocket on the next one. Oh, that drive's over. Let's move the pocket on the next one. Let's do something different. Let's get him out of the area. Let him throw on the run. He throws on the run in such great strides. Did you watch that play where he was going out of bounds? Boom, Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
There needed to be more. And
it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be unscripted. It doesn't have to be he's making plays happen. Just move him sometimes. It doesn't have to be every time.
But also don't be predictable.
Right.
There was a lot of predictability. I'll be honest, the DeAndre Swift run that he took to the house.
Yes.
I was like, what do you again? And he turned the corner and it was beautiful. And you mentioned the great block by Amagaji, but there was not the creativity. There was not the urgency. No. And then every time, multiple times in the game, when your first down play does work for 6 or 7 or even 8 yards, there was pre-snap penalties.
Yes.
There was letting up, negative plays. So they were constantly shooting themselves in their own foot and still had the victory in their hands.
Yep.
And I think that brings us, we already kind of talked about it, but should we talk about some pivotal plays?
Yeah.
And maybe even a inside look to one of those pivotal plays?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to bring up. All right.
We're done with the Kramer handoff?
Yeah. The Kramer handoff.
It's a pivotal play.
It is a pivotal play.
It was terrible. You ended up being able to overcome it.
Right. Definitely was a pivotal play. Here's another pivotal play that happened that I'll talk about. Tyrique Stevenson got burned bad.
By McLaren.
Bad. But I then gave him credit for stopping the touchdown because then they held him to a field goal. Right.
Bears red zone defense is so incredible. But why are you giving up so many red zone opportunities?
Right. Because it's this prevent defense that they were running.
I know. Because some of it's on bad offense, but some of those were drives that started at the own 10.
I tweeted out, you can't keep playing this prevent defense. The offense doesn't do anything. The defense needs to get a takeaway.
Yeah.
You're not doing that in prevent. Well, it never happened. The offense did come alive, thank goodness. Make it at least a game. But anyway, I do also have to give him credit because he also stayed with him on an almost similar deep ball, another go ball, right? And he held his own. So, he learned from that first mistake. I do give him credit there.
Yeah, he played that one well.
However, he was running his mouth, trying to poke people in the face.
He got the 15-yard penalty
that
cost them big time.
Through the face mask, right?
There was so much of that going on. That's not being disciplined.
No. And I know Washington was doing it too, and they weren't getting called for anything, and it was pissing me off also. I even tweeted out or texted in our chat. I don't care about the Stevenson face mask poke. I said, next time, just go punch the ref in the face. I was pissed. Because
if he would have done that, he would have been ejected.
Yes.
And that might have ended up helping the Bears.
Correct. Why? Because he's the reason they let up the fucking Hail Mary.
Yes, he is.
So
I said that before I saw this video, and now it's even more
worse.
Apparent. So this is something Rob did.
It gets even worse. So someone at the game put this out on Twitter. I will refuse to call it X. Put it out on Twitter, and it's the end zone angle of the Hail Mary play. And you are going to see a Tyrique Stevenson not even paying attention.
Now, it looks like it's pre-play, but no, the play starts, and he is not paying attention.
Yeah, he is not paying attention, running his
taunting
mouth.
The fans.
Taunting the fans. Here we go.
Live.
Ball is live. What are you doing? Oh, shit.
Now watch. It took way longer. They had to hold, obviously, and not get called.
He gets bailed out a little bit for that, but it completely.
But now, Stevenson's timing his jump. He wants to be the hero. No, your responsibility is to be the back guy.
Yeah. That is almost as bad as the double doink.
So
he's the back guy. He is what they call the savior.
Now, what do you do about this if you're the Bears? I mean, you pointed out in film session, but it's not like these situations should happen all that often.
Right.
But that's inexcusable.
He's supposed to be the savior. He's supposed to be the one. He wanted to make the play, but yet his position was called savior. Go save it. Do your job.
Somebody has to be responsible for the back guy. On a Hail Mary, the offense has guys going for the tip. They always put a guy behind, and sometimes the guy in front because we saw what DJ Moore caught one and ended up 1 yard short of the end zone. You hope that guy can just get that final yard.
But
who doesn't know
two
this?
Guys are the guys that are just trying to tip it, right? So they'll tip it forward. Their job is to tip it back, but sometimes it goes forward.
And you're not supposed to try to intercept it if you're on the defense. No. You swat the hell out of the thing backwards.
Yeah, you're better off grabbing it and just.
It looked like one of the Bears was even trying to pick it.
Yes.
So this is
Kevin Byard was the jump guy. He was the jump guy. He was the one that was supposed to do it, not Tyrique Stevenson. Why did he
even step back to try to time his jump and be some kind of so he could continue to taunt fans?
Here's my thing. Here's my thing. And I like Tyrique Stevenson as a player, and I don't mind the chirpiness when he gets it, like him and Brisker. I do think it fuels them a little bit, but there's a level and a line that you can't cross, right? He crossed it tonight.
Multiple times.
He got in his own emotions. And I'm sorry, Matt Eberflus, bench him. Bench him next week. I don't care if he is slightly better than Terrell Smith. Terrell Smith has dealt with injuries. He's coming back from an injury. I want to see Terrell Smith starting the game against, I don't even know who we're playing this upcoming week.
Cardinals.
The Cardinals.
On the road. Cardinals won today.
Just beat Miami.
So that's a 4-4 team, and you're a 4-3 team. And
By
we
the
talked
way,
about win 2 of the next 3.
You
just
got to
lost
play
1.
this next game very similar because Kyler Murray runs around just like Jaden Daniels does.
Yeah. Yep. So as frustrated as we are, we also want to do game balls.
I mean, I got one game ball for sure.
I got one.
And this guy is the one guy who deserves it. Everyone has been on his case at the beginning of the year saying, why is he the starter? Where's Khalil Herbert, who, by the way, was inactive today for Travis Homer?
Who's a special teamer.
He is
especially when you lose Velus Jones to badness.
Yes. There is reasoning behind it. It's just kind of funny.
They're probably trying to keep him healthy.
It's also kind of funny that you didn't. You brought Jacob Martin onto the 53-man roster to play today when your defensive line has been playing pretty well, and yet you didn't bring in Larry Borum as you saw 3 offensive linemen go down with injury. Interesting. Anyway, Matt Eberflus, if you do not if you don't bench him, if you don't call him out in the press conference and say, look, it was Tyrique Stevenson's job. If you don't see this video, I'm going to fucking tweet at Chicago Bears with this video. I guarantee you that. You need to see this video because Tyrique Stevenson needs, if you believe in your hits principles and you believe in the mottos that you come up with, then
playing smart. And
there was no smart today.
Being responsible.
No smart. Bob called that out too. No smart in the game plan today. No smart in the hits principles.
So you say bench him, like you're talking about he sits out the entire game?
If that's what it takes, you bench him for the first quarter, I don't really care. Do something.
It's inexcusable. And it just, that goes all the way up to leadership. I know it's not fair because, like, had they won this game, then, you're a great coach, I guess.
There another team that
things like this can't happen.
Wide receivers for the first half this year?
I'm not sure. I mean, it happens. It does happen. Does it work? Does it send the message? I don't know, but
it should.
It has to. Something has to be fixed because they just, you win and lose games in the fine details.
Yeah.
This is the NFL. All teams, I don't care how bad a team looks or how great a team looks. All teams have guys that are talented. All teams will take advantage of bad plays on your part or when you give them extra opportunities. And the Bears did that all throughout the game. So they ended up with the result they pretty much earned throughout the game, which was an L, even though you had the win.
Yeah.
So who are you giving your game ball to?
DeAndre Swift.
Absolutely. He completely earned it. I'm still sticking by, I think by the end of the season, those first 3 games are by far going to be his worst 3 games. And he has really looked like one of the best backs in the NFL as a dual threat these last 4 weeks. But unfortunately, the outcome still wasn't what it could have been or should have been. I really struggled to come up with a game ball for anyone. I also would have picked DeAndre Swift. So I'm going to give a game ball. And this normally is probably a sign you lost the game to Torrey Taylor. When it needed to be a booming punt because the offense couldn't get a first down. Let's see. What was their final third down conversion rate, I wonder?
2 for 15, I think.
Let's quickly. Yep. No, 2 for 12.
Okay. A little bit better.
A little better than you had thought. But 2 for 12 is atrocious. And so some of the time you needed a booming punt. He was there to punt. I believe his long was 65 or something like that.
He had a directional punt that went right out at the 5. It was beautiful.
And now when he punts 65 yards, the problem then becomes out punting your coverage because I think that 65-yarder probably only netted about 45, 46 because it was a decent return. But he was doing his job. 7 punts on the day. 68 was his long. 5 were inside the 20 and a 48.7 average, which part of that average is hurt because there was one he was punting from like midfield, basically. So it's not going to be a lot of yardage. But again, it's about so many were inside the 10. He had one to the 5, and you have a good defense. Right. So you can win games that you don't deserve to win 100%. When you play good special teams, you play good defense, complementary football. They almost pulled that out today.
I tweeted out.
Part of that was Torrey Taylor. He gets a game ball.
After the one where Torrey Taylor punted it and it went out right at the 5, I tweeted out that it should have been Torrey Taylor texting Caleb Williams to
you needed me today.
No, just after the draft, on draft night. It should have been him after he got drafted being like, well, you never have to worry about bad field position.
Right, pretty much.
Because that's how I feel right now.
All right, it's been a very frustrating episode. It was a very frustrating event to watch, but I guess the silver lining is you do have the recipe for if you play smart complementary football, this team could win lots of games. Problem is the smart and the hits principle, like you said, seems to go away. And it's often when you're playing good teams and it's on the road. So you got a bunch of good teams coming up on your schedule to close out the year, and about half of them are on the road. You got to change some things. So let's see. I'm curious to see what you and Bob talk about as the Bears now go into 2 more games that are both winnable and basically must wins if you want to seriously put yourself in contention for playoff push.
I'm not joking, Bob. I'm going to find someone to fill in for me on Wednesday.
You can do it.
You'll see.
Okay.
All right. I got nothing else to say.
That's
so
it,
just
man.
hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave
Comments.
your comments,
Comments.
scream. I've been screaming all night, scaring my kids. Halloween's coming up. No, what's scary is
there a
Rob
werewolf?
watching
Is
Bears
there a werewolf?
games.
No, it's Dad.
Yeah.
In the Bears.
Oh my gosh. All right.
All right,
Until
man.
then, bear down,
Bear down.
claws up.